Good morning and welcome to Crafty Concepts with Erin. Today I have this really fun Into the Wild paper pack, which is new from close to my heart. So there's different ways to purchase this pack. You can get what they call a scrapbooking workshop your way, or you can get a deluxe kit, which is what I have here. So I'm showing you all the different pattern papers in the collection, and each one is double-sided. This one is my favorite. I love the pine trees and this green plaid, and then we have little arrows. So you get two of each sheet, and then on the bottom they have these pre-printed little mountains, and then on the cut-apart sheet there's more that you could incorporate into the layout, which I'm going to do today. The deluxe workout does come with blueprints where you can make these 4 projects. I'm going to, of course, do my own, but they include a stencil sheet here, so you can use the Cricut cartridge to cut out this wood grain look, and then they teach you how to ink onto the paper using that stencil for some really cool techniques. These are the silver glitter gems, and you also get the embellishing thread in silver as well. There's several sheets of cards, or the page protectors, and this is for the pocket cards where you just slide in, and on the instructions here, this particular page shows you how you can do the pocket card scrapbooking, which is really fun. If you're in a hurry, it just makes things super simple and easy. Here's the Cardstock Collection that comes with the kit. And in the deluxe kit, you also get this stamp here. So there's all sorts of images on here and tons of great title. Go Wild, Happy Trails, The Great Outdoors. I know with as much camping as we do, I'm going to get a lot of mileage out of this particular stamp. Okay, let's get started. So here are the pictures that I'm going to be scrapbooking today. These are my 2 boys, and we're camping in our favorite spot in the backcountry. There's some of our horses. So it's just a fun, quick trip. And I'm usually, I tend to start with white cardstock as the base, but I want to use this mountain patterned paper here. So I'm just removing the zip strips, and I'm going to set those aside for later use. I keep saying I'm going to get another one of these mats because they're so nice to work on, but for now I just have the one. So I'm going to put my photos down and kind of experiment to see where I want the placement. There's lots of ways to do this, but sometimes when things just fall into place, you think, okay, I like that the best, that's it. So to tie these 2 pages together, I'm going to mat these 2 center photos on the gray pine tree paper here. So we'll just cut each, it's 12 inches, so we'll just cut it into 2 6-inch segments there. And I'm a little bit bothered on the bottom by the mountains being so symmetrical, so I'm going to fussy cut this out and add to it on the left hand side, and now it kind of breaks it up and doesn't look so even. I've also cut out this Explore title, and I'm not really sure I like it. It's a bit too bold, too big. I'm going to try it in the middle, and it's okay, but it's just not quite the look I'm going for, so I'm going to abandon that for the time being. Can always use it on another layout if I decide not to come back to that. So we're just going to add a quick zip strip across the bottom, and then I fussy cut these trees from the cut apart page. So we'll just get those centered around our main photos there. And then they have this peach cardstock, and ordinarily I wouldn't look at these photos and think peach, but the greens and the blues, they're all very cool. So this peach color just kind of warms the layout up just a bit. And if you really look, there are lots of peach tones. My son's skin tones, and then of course in the fishing photo, there's the sunlight warming the tops of the trees in the background there. So it kind of just brings out the peach a little bit. So I'm going to use this stamp here to create my title. I'm just getting my supplies here. I have this ink in topiary. I always practice first before I stamp on my actual piece of cardstock. And that came out perfectly. So now we have this little mountain range that I'm going to stamp in blue. It calls for the sapphire blue, which I have some of the older shades of ink, and I mean, I've been a consultant for close to 15 years, and these ink pads are still going strong, so it's hard for me to replace them quite yet. Okay, so I'm just going to trim down this title, get that centered there, and then I'll go ahead and dovetail the edges just to give it a little bit more detail. And then there's this perfect little space down here in between the mountain range for a title. So we'll tuck that right behind there, and that's looking good. But I want to bring in a little bit more of the peach color, I think. So I'm going to explore a few ways to do that here in just a moment. Right now I'm using my dimensional tape to pop up these little tree embellishments. I'm going to use my microtip scissors to trim down any of the foam that's peeking out from the back side of the embellishment. Okay, so now I'm going to work on the title a little bit. We'll get these elements layered up, and I'm definitely going to pop up the title, but it needs something. So I'm going to bring in a little bit of this dark gray color with this zip strip, and then of course more of the peach with a circle I cut using our thin cuts, stitch circles. Okay, we'll get all these pieces layered together here. And then I'll use dimensional tape to pop up the title here. It gives you that nice shadowing effect when you use the tape. Perfect. I'm very happy with that. So I was debating cutting out the darker piece of that mountain and popping it up, but I decided just to go ahead and adhere that level on the page. And I'm going to bring in a few more embellishments with from the stamp here. There's this, again, I cut the circle with the thin cuts and just stamped right on there. And then I have this scrap piece of peach paper that I'm just going to tuck on the corner of that photo to help draw that color across. And this Wild One embellishment is trimmed from the cut apart sheet. So I'm feeling that my little Get Lost embellishment is kind of lost up there by itself. So I definitely want to add a little bit more to that. And I thought about bringing in the other part of this gray zip strip, but it just didn't quite look right. So eventually I think, oh, why not another tree? And I'm happy with that, the way that looks. So that stamp that I just pointed to says the scenic route. So I just stamped that and trimmed it out. And I think that makes a perfect little cluster up there in the left-hand corner to kind of highlight that photo of the boys. And the arrow where the scenic route is kind of pointing in the direction in which they're riding the horses. So I like the way that came together. So I didn't leave much room for journaling on this page, and I had quite a bit to say. So I've typed it up on a 4x4 card, and I'm going to use a flip flap to tuck behind the photo. So they have these 4x4 flip flaps, and this is going to be perfect. So it'll hinge, and now I have room for another picture on the back side. This isn't really a nice photo because it was dark and around the campfire, but it was part of the memory and I wanted to include it. So it's a perfect place to tuck it behind there. So we'll just put them into the flip flap and fold over the top, and then I can go ahead and get my journaling block tucked into place there. And then now I have tucked them into the page protectors so I can go ahead and put on my flip flap. So you fold this over the top to make a little pocket, and the back side's upside down, but when you flip it up, the presentation will be correct. So you peel off the adhesive strip there and then just line it up over your photo and then smooth that down. And the adhesive is very strong. I've never had one of these come off. Okay, so I was able to include my story with this flip flap. Unfortunately, my poor husband could not escape work, but the boys and I decided to go, and the journaling reads, "We have taken many trips to Cow Meadow, but this one was the first time the boys and I went without Mike. It was only a 3-day trip, but they stepped up in their dad's absence and worked hard to fill his shoes. I was so impressed with how hard they worked. They each led a pack animal, helped set up camp, secured pasture to let the horses graze, and unsaddled everything. It was a short trip, but packed full of fun. Hayden caught fish despite Clayton and the dogs splashing around in the water. We told scary stories and roasted way too many marshmallows." Thank you so much for watching. I hope you are feeling inspired. For more information, head on over to my blog at craftyconceptswitherin.com or shop directly at erinjacobson.closetomyheart.com. See you next week!